So first I just kind of want to know, how are you settling into Oregon? Obviously, like, part of getting this position was moving, so.
Well, fortunately, we had a little time. We officially moved in early July, so we had a couple weeks to kind of settle in before things got going. But it's going well. It's nice coming from the Pacific Northwest, so there's not that much of a change in climate and just different things. So yeah, I've got a few more boxes down low. But
For sure. And do you live near campus, or like, how's your commute?
So we found a place in Sandy.
Oh, okay.
So it's 20 minutes door to door. So coming from Seattle, it's a shorter commute, and I live farther away. So, and who can't complain about driving home by trees, right? I mean, every night it's
That's
nice.
awesome. So have you had previous presidential positions?
No, this is my first presidential position, but I was a vice president for 17 years
Okay.
prior to that, and the most recent year and a half, our president went out on medical leave, so a couple of vice presidents stepped up, and while I wasn't president in name, I took over work with the board, legislative issues, funding, so I got some broader experience in kind of the role. Also, I was the executive director of the foundation, which is a leadership role of our nonprofit, and so not totally transferable, but then had experience in working with the board and working in aligning the board and efforts around meeting the mission.
So did that help make the jump to being president easier for you then? Or?
Yes, I think those experiences did, because, you know, especially working with the board and the public side of being a president was nothing new. I think anytime you move from one institution to another, there's a new culture, there's new structures, and so those are the things that I've had to spend time learning.
And then, are there any other things like your education or other things in life that kind of helped prepare you for this role?
So I've been in the community college system for 22 years in the various roles. I started out as part-time faculty, and then held positions I created a centralized internship program, so working with employers and students on work-based learning experiences. Then I did budgeting for a couple years, and then moved into the role of advancement. So I created a division with all the policy stuff and administrative things that went into it, and hired the team, and then just really for 17 years moved it forward. And more you're seeing with presidents that public side of things, public relations, community engagement, is becoming more and more important in a president's role, and since that was my most previous position, I think that went well. And then I spent 7 years in private industry, so there's a little bit of the business side that I bring with me.
And then what was the interviewing process like to get this role?
So the college put out the announcement, so that's kind of where, through the process, I know there was a lot of work with the board and campus folks up to that, but when the position went live, obviously starting to do some research, looking at the college, looking at the strengths, the weaknesses, the materials they put out, and then looking for alignment, because that was really important to me, that the college was looking for areas that I felt I was strong in. So, and then probably one of the most challenging things for me was putting together the letter of application, because basically you have to, and I think they had 4-page limit, you have to try to convey 26 years of experience and relevant experience in 4 pages. And you never wanted, that's right, you want to convey enough but not too much, and so I spent a lot of time on that. But so submitted, and then waited and found out I had the confidential interview, so then was invited to meet with the screening committee, which I think was 17 or 18 folks. So I had my first interview, which was 50 minutes, and then found out I was selected to come back for the full interview, and then came to campus for a day. Actually, it was a 1.5-day long process. So I had an evening dinner and interview with the board, and then the next day I had on-campus interviews that included President's Cabinet, student government, faculty. I can't remember if it was just faculty union or if it was all the unions. It might have been both. Open forum. So anyway, I think my decision process, I started this in January, and I think we finalized it in April. So.
Wow. And then with being college president, I kind of want to compare. So, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, when I was really little, I wanted to be a gymnast, and quickly found out my lack of grace and my height just wasn't going to let that happen. In high school, I wanted to be an accountant because the two things I said I never wanted to do were education and politics, which is kind of funny because, and that was just my family experience, and so here I am in education and politics, right? But.
What are your goals and priorities as president? Maybe your top 3 things you want to see happen?
It's kind of the first year. I mean, coming in, you're really trying to understand the campus culture, the initiatives that are already underway. And so the one thing I'm very mindful of is I'm doing a lot of listening and waiting to see what's going to make the most sense. But within that, things that are very important to me, first off, is student success. So making sure that we have the programs, the services, and students are able to be successful with the least amount of barriers. Another thing I'm interested in is obviously campus culture and employee climate satisfaction. So making sure that employees are supported, valued, feel like they have the freedom to do the best job they can, and feel like the people are supporting them along the way. And then the third thing I think is really being in touch with our community and being engaged in our community, not only from the obvious reasons of building connections for students and attracting students and understanding our students, but also how are we serving business and industry needs and just being community is our middle name, right? So how are we being a good community partner?
And what is kind of your ideal path to success with those things?
So I've always been a collaborator, so it's really trying to get an assessment. That's why it's going to take so long, is understanding where the campus is, but then how do we build a shared vision and move together on that. So I know where I want to get. I don't know how we're going to get there because that's going to take a lot of people and a lot of voices in what makes the most sense and what's going to be most successful.
What strengths do you bring to your position? I'm trying to think, right?
So one of the strengths is I really do love what I do. And I think with that, even on the bad days, it's like I can think about the work and actually how lucky I am to get to do this work. And so that's motivating in itself. So I think there's that strength. I think the fact that I really like people and I'm approachable, it helps to build bridges, it helps to start having that dialogue and figure out how we can move things forward. And then the quirky side of me is I'm a bit of a nerd, so I like data, I like looking at data, I like research, and so I think that then helps fuel what needs to happen behind the scenes.
What are your I know you said that you enjoy collaboration, so what are your plans for connecting with faculty and students, and do you have an idea of how that'll look?
Right now, I'm just trying to do it informally and formally, so trying to attend department meetings and trying to connect with kind of the formalized meeting spaces, but then inviting people in to meet with me. With students, I know I met with student government, and we're trying to look at some sort of, we're calling it president, or pizza with the president, but some sort of thing where students can kind of come. It's informal, and the deal is You can get a piece of pizza, but you got to talk to me and tell me the things that are important to you, and just try to create that dialogue so I can make sure that we've got the student voice, and the student voice is being heard.
That's so cool. I love that idea. What is this? I know that your plan right now is to listen to people, obviously. So what does a successful year look like to you? Like, where do you want to be at the end of this school year?
So actually the board does have kind of they call it the transition plan that we worked on, but over the year, it's getting an assessment of where the institution stands with its structure, with its personnel, with its budget, so in how things are operating, so that when we start moving forward, we can devise a structure and whatnot and funding that's actually going to get us there. So that's kind of this, and finding out what's important to people, because this, again, needs to be our plan. It's not just my plan, because I think that'll be far more successful.
Gotcha. And what do you enjoy doing when you're not doing president things?
Not doing president things. So one of the nice things about moving out to Sandy is I was originally from Montana and grew up on a farm and then kind of migrated west over the years. So I love the outdoors. I love to garden. And right now we've got some property with a whole lot of blackberry bushes. And so I have to say my husband's probably doing most of the work, but trying to get in there. And then, I'm into the plants and what we can put. Next year I want a garden. So.
Gotcha. And then is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to talk about?
I think just, trying to send the message that I want to hear student voices and how we engage them. The pizza with the president is just one idea, but if students have ideas, and being sure that if they're encountering barriers and there's things that we might be able to do, that we know that. So, because at the end of the day, I keep saying that, students are why we're here, and their success is our success. So these are two things I have to capitalize on.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Catch me in 9 months and ask me those questions, and we'll see where